Hi everyone, welcome back to the 𝐼𝐴𝐸𝐴𝐻 15, my Theory of Everything presentation series. This is video number 5, or part 5, video number 2. I have a previous video to this one on Caudaces, the singularity and the Holy Grail Bloodline. Please start with that before watching this one. So where I left off, I started getting into the explanation of infinite space and how it lies into a deeper precepts of our feeble human minds and unlocking the true potential of the third eye, or the pineal gland. Third eye, pineal gland, is like a gateway into other dimensions, a gateway into the cosmos or the future. Gets into a deeper understanding of the time-space conundrum or parabola. Here is a light time cone. Gets into like past light, future light. And then this is axis of space and time. Einstein was really big into this. Like I said, a lot of his work I don't believe in because of the whole faster than speed of light theory, throwing out a consistent speed of light basis for much of his work. Also Bruce Cathey. I love Bruce Cathey, and much of his stuff is amazing and way more advanced than I'll ever be able to do in my life. But again, a lot of it's based on a consistent speed of light, and I disagree with this wholeheartedly, as I mentioned in my last segment. Okay, so per the whole, I'm probably going to go over this a couple of times, but per the whole infinite space, understand that the angels in heaven existed, infinite amount of time before God even thought about making humans. God, is above all, and the angels, and then we have humans, and then even humans. So we conceptualize 100 years to be, our lifespan, an average, a long period of time for us. Then, we look down on a dog or, a lesser mammal. Maybe they live 10 to 20 years if they're lucky. So then they're looking down on, say, a flea. Maybe a flea lives, a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever. Okay, so then, you have even like deeper, like we look under a microscope and there's things that you can see. It's like these different varying levels. So it's like God, the angels, us, and then, we're constantly looking down. And it's like by God's engineering that our brains are supposed to only conceptualize a certain element of this. I'm going to come back later, I promise. So also, when you get into, like I said, the deeper understanding of the quantum physics, you know that light energy, magnetism, vibration, sound, electricity are essentially all contemporaries of each other. Plasma is what's known as the fourth state of matter. Really interesting there. There's a little diagram. So we're taught in school about, Kepler's planetary motion, laws of planetary motion, and we're at the rate of falling objects is 32 feet per second squared. I personally believe that this whole notion of the Grail can defy this. Jesus is said to have walked on water. And I mean, even just like touching his garment, you could be healed, supposedly. I have, from my numerous near-death experiences, have had outer-body experiences and experienced an ascension. Like almost the best way to describe it is like a helium balloon, like floating up towards like an all-encompassing white light of a blissful feeling where there's absolutely no time and like no worry. One of the most amazing feelings you could ever incur in your life. I don't know if some people would say it's like proof of heaven. There's like about 6 consistent things. People seeing Jesus, Muhammad, outer body experiences. I've experienced numerous of these, but they're all pretty consistent with each other with all the near-death experiencers. It's really, really, really interesting. So from here, I want to get into, okay, real quick, know also that the 8 represents the element oxygen, but also there's like this eternal divinity of the symbol 8. Shows up right in this book. It represents like the new day, rebirth, regeneration, and my personal favorite, infinity, which like defies this consecration of time. So the 8 represents also infinity. Infinite space, like I said, it's a very slippery slope, but like this is like the heart of my point I'm trying to make. Okay, so the best way to describe it is really the Pac-Man game. Okay, so like you go out one side and you come out the other side. It's like a deeper quandary into the unified field. Um, you know, like the band The Doors had like this. I guess the whole thing with what they're the name of the Doors is like they say that the Doors are the between the things known and the things unknown. Also, in the movie Beetlejuice, never thought I'd bring Beetlejuice into my theory of everything presentation, but there's this famous scene where they like go open doors and they go into like different dimensions and portals, and like I said, it gets into this time space parabola. Also, a very important interest is square of the square of the sun. There's a square of these numbers, and no matter how you add them up, every single way, they all add up to 111. Interesting corollary there to the World Trade Towers, 111 stories each the two towers were. You know, I could go on and on, but I'm going to try to stay to the heart of this. So then we move to this another part, the singularity. And bless you if you're still with me. If you look at the Caudaces, it has a single point that like it cones down to in time. Like the very, very bottom, it like spirals down to a certain point in time. And if you look what elites believe as far as the singularity, and also transhumanists, a very popular one is 𝐓𝐿𝐴 they believe that it's humans merging with machine. Like some people take it literally, like you're gonna be like upload your consciousness onto a computer. I have a different interpretation of it. As I mentioned before, you have like positive rhesus positive blood types of like a human element, and then you have rhesus negative blood types of more alien origin. And so like okay, so we have positive and negative. So then you have like two magnets that attract each other, like opposites attract essentially. When you have the rhesus negative alien blood versus the rhesus positive, you see the point that I'm trying to convey there. Please understand that our bodies are electrical by very, very electrical by nature. We are already robots. I'm telling you this. Like they have the brain like basically back engineered. If you look at Brodmann's area and how our neurological system works, there's like a whole field of science that's called electromedicine that deals with this. They have microchips most certainly exist. Like back in the 60s, 70s, they could control like small mammals. You know already from me mentioning it, you're probably tired of me saying it, but the Body Electric is, in my opinion, the best book of all time. My favorite, very, very favorite book. And we're introduced to this concept of piezoelectricity, which is like energy that's stored in bones. This is the basis of how we get fossil fuels from dinosaur bones. The truth is that our human consciousness, as we know it, exists in the electrical in our spinal column, where the electrical nature of everything is compressed and comes together. From and also of interest is we have 33 vertebrae. Supposedly, this is where the Freemasons get the whole notion of 33. Some say 33 years that Christ was on this earth. There's definitely a corollary there. It's like levels of becoming a man, like your spine, like you stand upright or you're a spineless person, whatever. I'm going to show here another interesting facet to this and the Caudaces once again. So we have this here, the spine. What does this look like? It looks like a sperm with a head. When you turn the spine sideways, it looks like a sperm with the head. Kind of interesting as well. So we end with the 1 and the 2. Okay, so we have the 1 in the middle, then we have the 2 that bind around it, and together we get, and you add them, then we get 3, which is Fibonacci sequence, which is 1, 1, 2, 3. There's plenty of other videos on Fibonacci sequence. Like it ties totally into it. Like you could not have a theory of everything presentation without talking about Fibonacci sequence. There's going to be a lot of things that I'm not going to cover to the extent that other people have. I'm trying to get into stuff that's like a lot cooler, like a lot more esoteric by nature. But this is essentially our biological mission: to love and to multiply. It gets into the endocrine, everything else. unfortunately, we manifest to a point where the earth becomes unsustainable and we breach a carrying capacity. God, whoever he or she is, steps in and rights the wrong by thinning the herd. I've read this in this book as well. There's like always a certain point in time where whenever that happens, when like the earth becomes unsustainable, or like a certain type of event, like it just triggers like kind of like what we have now, almost like a thinning of the herd, calling of the herd, and gets into like deeper traits of like evolution and like natural selection and survival of the fittest and so forth. And like when you have all this going on with like in vitro fertilization, it like really f's up and screws up. You have like people that have fake printed money that are like buying babies instead of like actually going out and like finding people at their job or finding people at church or school, and like it really like thwarts God's natural plan, and it can't, and it will not be able to sustain itself. So there's still, as much as I know about all of this, there's still three interpretations that I have. I'm not sure which one is correct. Okay, so one of them is possible that the two snakes, like they represent two bloodlines merging into one. One is the bloodline of David, and one's the bloodline of Abraham. The Bible specifically talks about the two bloodlines. And you can actually trace the Adam and Eve family tree back as well. Another one is incestuous, like the blood of God crossing with God, like to keep this purity of sorts, like it's like an incestuous thing. And the other one is like almost like back to the Garden of Eden and Adam, where like we like go from all these people and it all goes back to one again. Kind of interesting fact there. And when we start talking about that, there again we meet the notion of the snake right back at the Garden of Eden. And I believe that like the apple or the tree of knowledge has a different or deeper literary corollary as well to like technology of computers. If you look at the symbol of Apple, with the bite out of the apple, there's like a 666 in the Apple symbol. Could represent technology. Also like human cloning as well, like people like it, like it's not something we're not supposed to toil with, and perhaps even like sodomy or something like this. Please know that I could have covered a lot more about the organic elements of life: carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen. Like I said, please understand how important the calcium is. Calcium is very, very, very important. Also, I someday would like to do it. I could have done a complete diagram of the endocrine system. A list of all the biomechanical hormones, FSH, LH, testosterone, estrogen, prolactin. Like how the role is. It's very, very deep and it's very, very involved. I tried talking to an endocrinologist who had 13 years post-high school education, and he played absolutely retarded about this. I mean, I was like I was like so excited to go talk to this guy, and he played stupid. None of this was pertinent or whatever. I was actually going to have my favorite doctor of all, a fellow Russian, Dr. 𝐖𝐚𝐭𝐜𝐡, great doctor. Like if you went there, like he'll like literally take an hour and a half with each of his patients every single time. He doesn't take insurance, by the way, only cash, so I don't get a chance to go to him. Luckily, I'm not usually sick. But one time he drew me a complete working diagram of the endocrine system. Like took about 30 minutes out of his time and like broke every single thing down to me. And maybe in the future, I'll call on him in a future segment to do this, or I'll try to find the one that he drew for me and share it with you. But do your own. Check it out yourself. Understand the importance of the adrenals, the testes in men, the ovaries in women, the thyroid, the parathyroid. Parathyroid is very, very important. It's actually what synthesizes calcium in your body. The parathyroid, very, very important. The pituitary, which also has to do with aging, and it gets into this like consecration or like a defying time, basically. So let's end on the perception of time. As we look down like I said, it, like less, like, you know, things that don't live as long, you know, really puts things in perspective. You know, God sees everything, and the real magic, like I said, happens under a microscope and like in the form of biology. And there's so much I could go into. Um, you know, we also get the understanding of like dimensional travel. Like, you know, our three-dimensional world, you know, is based on like shapes and everything, but there's other like aspects of it, like smell, for instance. Like I said, they transcend into other dimensions. And like when you really start to understand the core of what I'm trying to embrace, you understand how dimensional travel is possible and how UFOs operate outside of normal dimensions. Basically, I talked about David Icke a lot in the past. He talked about the Zulu. He has this interview with the Zulu tribesmen who, like, they experienced UFOs. Like, UFOs crashed. The white people came and got them. And like I said, they vaccinated all the people, the African people, and then they couldn't see them anymore. And like, you can understand how, like, when they inhibit your third eye, it like takes your ability to like connect to the divine away. And it's like, you know, some people will fight me on this, but I have my beliefs, and I'll take it to the grave with me. I'm not taking a vaccine. I'm not taking a microchip or anything like this. So this is like really, really cool too. Okay, so there's lies that are taught. Like, I've read this book on the echolocation of sound in bats, and they talked about how they like did all this studies on bats and injected this horseradish peroxidase dye, and they like stimulated certain areas of the bat, and they could tell like the bats can distinguish between a piece of plastic and a bug, and all this stuff, and it sounds really cool and really scientific, but I don't believe that's how it works. I believe that there's a deeper divine level of consciousness that ties into this that they do not want to embrace. A perfect example is like sharks. They say that like sharks can, like, you put like a few drops of blood in the water and sharks from like a mile away can know. Another thing is ants. I've noticed you put like a little bit of sugar out somewhere and they're on it quick. It's like they know it's there. And like, in my opinion, I don't think they really smell it. It's like a psychic divine intuition. The movie A Beautiful Mind, I believe the guy John Forbes Nash was into these things with pigeons. And like, I'm fascinated. Someday I'm gonna get a book on homing pigeons. But like, when I was younger, I lived in the country. I went down this dirt road, and there was this guy. I live in southeastern Pennsylvania. And there was this guy that came there from New Jersey. He released pigeons in New Jersey, and let them go. And he came to go get them, and like it fascinated me ever since. And like I said, there's this deeper element that they're not teaching us. You know, about how like consciousness really works. That's my opinion. Like I said, the next presentation I do, I'm gonna go into the whole symbols and like try to tie some of this together. This book I'm gonna eventually go into as well. But like I said, we have the monad one, and you have like the sun here. That's not where I got the whole idea of that. But like I said, understand hydrogen, one, the sun. Then two, you get into duality, opposites attract, and then like you have people fornicating here, and the whole yin and the yang, male and female energy, positive, you know, good and evil, everything, and everything is diametrically opposed, and it comes down like just like a really good example is binary code in computers, ones and zeros. Think of it that way. Like, it really answers a lot as far as that goes. So like I said, the next segment I'm going to do on the symbols, and this is my own little thing here. So regardless of what you think about the singularity, okay, so this is my own drawing. You see how good of an artist I am. Okay, so as we approach down this cone toward this single point, okay, so here's like time. You see that like it has no choice but to become more focused. Like here, there's more wobble room, more variables that can play in. But as we approach the singularity, less variables can happen, and everything becomes more focused on that single point in time. Thank you for your time today. I hope you're enjoying this series. I'm not really sure where it's going to end. I have a nice little outline of future presentations that I plan on bringing you, and it'll be hopefully a nice little production in the end. Take care, folks. Be safe.